Okay, we're switching gears now. Earlier this week, President Obama selected roughly a dozen infrastructure projects throughout the country for expedited approval and environmental impact studies. On that list was the Tappan Zee Bridge. That is the span that connects Westchester County with Rockland County. It is a main artery that nearly 200,000 commuters and truckers rely on every single day. As you might recall, we took an in-depth look at that decaying bridge this past summer when Nick Reisman was touring it, actually, from the underside. He was on the river with Westchester County Executive ROB Astorino. Now, back then, Astorino called for construction of a completely new structure to begin ASAP. He is now joining us this evening to talk more about the good news he has just received and also discuss some of the things he's doing down in the county to balance the budget. Mr. County Executive, thank you very much for your time.
Good to be with you, Liz.
So this is a good news release from President Obama. I would assume this is something that you have been sounding the alarm on for a while.
Yeah, it's good news, but I must say with it is some uncertainty.
Right.
The governor's office and the president announced that this is being fast-tracked. That's good news because it'll cut down some of the red tape and presumably the length of time it would take to actually get construction underway. But there's a lot of question marks here, and that is what kind of bridge is going to be built.
Right.
Apparently, from what we've heard, and we've had no direct communication with the governor's office, we've called them for information, but we haven't received anything yet. And I'd like to have a constructive dialogue because I want to be able to help the governor. As I said on the river when Nick Reisman did that piece, is that I would stand with the governor and help him achieve this of building a new bridge. So presumably it's going to be a new bridge, but what we don't want and what we are hearing is that the costs are going to be about $5 billion. The estimates that we have had throughout the last several years is that a basic bridge is about $9 billion. A basic bridge plus, that would be with mass transit, which is going to be needed, could bring it up to about $16 billion. But what we heard was that it would be about $5 billion. Now that's great, that costs would be lowered, and money is cheap right now for interest rates, but my concern is that they're going to replace a 1955 bridge with another 1955 bridge, and that won't do anything to really solve the problem.
Okay.
Bus rapid transit or mass transit has got to be part of this new bridge to alleviate some of the concerns that everyone has in this region.
Oh, okay, before we get into the funding, just for my purposes, because I'm not clear, if you rebuild this bridge, do you have to shut it down in the interim, or can you do like half and then half, and there'll be traffic, but it won't be maybe any worse than what people are used to? It's pretty trafficy down there already.
Yeah, it's very trafficy.
Right.
They would build a new bridge just north of where it is, a couple hundred feet. They would keep the current bridge open, and when the new bridge is finished, they would just reconnect it. It's supposed to end up basically in the same exact spot, so there'd be less land take on both sides of the bridge. But again, the problem is you have to construct this bridge for 50 years down the road.
Right.
You can't build a bridge for today because it'll already be at capacity and it won't alleviate the problems that commuters are facing right now. So without a component for bus rapid transit or light rail or commuter rail, I don't know what we're going to accomplish other than spending a lot of money. Right now they're fixing up a bridge at the tune of $100 million a year just to keep it going. And I agree, and we all agree, the bridge does need to be replaced. It is deteriorating.
Okay, but
it's still safe, but it's deteriorating.
If in fact you want a $15 billion bridge or a $10 billion bridge or well, hold on. If you want a modern bridge that is more probably, you're suggesting, than a $5 billion bridge, $3 billion of this is supposed to come from toll revenue. The rest is other sources, which is not clear. I mean, where's the money in your mind going to come from? You wouldn't want to borrow for it, would you?
Well, right now, none of this is clear. We have no idea where this is going to be paid for. The state hasn't put aside a penny for this in the last 10 years that they've been studying it, so that's a concern. But clearly, I think this is an opportunity to do what the Port Authority is doing right now with the Goethals Bridge. They're going to replace the Goethals Bridge, and they're going to do a public-private partnership. And there's no reason we should be scared about doing something like that. Government has to be involved. There will be tax money in this. There will be tolls that will be paying for some of this to pay off the bonds. But there's no reason why we can't do it right and also have potentially investors come in there, put some of their money into this, and over the course of 30 years, 50 years, see some return on their investment.
Well,
that's okay.
What do you envision? I mean, for example, there was just a press release that I saw coming out this week about some advertising opportunities that are available on infrastructure. Do you envision the Coca-Cola bridge? I mean, why not privatize the whole thing then?
Well, you know what? First of all, I see no reason why we should not have an open mind on any of this stuff. We're in very difficult times, but we still have specific needs. And infrastructure, bridges, roads, etc., that's a prime example of what government should be doing and unfortunately has been incapable of doing because we're spending so much money elsewhere. We don't have enough money for the essential things. So a bridge, especially the one like the Tappan Zee Bridge, and specifically the Tappan Zee Bridge, it doesn't just link two counties. This bridge handles, as you mentioned, on a daily basis almost as much traffic as the Holland and Lincoln tunnels combined. It is a main artery into New England. It is a national bridge, and it's been recognized by the President, and I thank him for that. But in order to look down the road 10, 20, 30 years from now, why would we spend, and believe me, I'm not one that spends money freely, but this is an investment that we really have to look at, because if we're going to fix the problem, fix the problem. Don't spend $5 or $6 billion and then end up with the same exact problem the minute the bridge opens. I think bus rapid transit, and that would be dedicated lanes on the bridge and then off the bridge. Otherwise, you're going to have buses full of commuters that are just stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything. Railway as well. Light rail for commerce and or commuter rail is also something that we have to look at. Now, I'm not looking for something from the Jetsons, but I am looking for something that's going to make sense for the people in this region and accomplish the goal of bringing in a new bridge.
Okay, you mentioned the issue about your fiscal conservatism. You are, in fact, not one for spending money freely. You just put out a new budget. This is a good segue for me, so I thank you. You just put out this new budget. Actually, for the second time, you have been seeking concessions from the county workforce. This time around, you're using, which I kind of find interesting, you're using Governor Cuomo, who's a Democrat, as a selling point, saying to your folks down there, you have a choice, layoffs or concessions. And by the way, what I'm offering you is just what the governor offered CSEA, and they took it. Do I have that right? I got it right?
Well, yeah, you did. You had it right, except for one thing. We didn't put forward a budget yet. It was an outlook of where we're going. The budget's going to be submitted by November 15th. But there's no secret. We have a $114 million deficit. I am not raising taxes. We're already the highest tax county in America. People are tapped out. We've got to start thinking differently. Now, the problem is not the worker. The problem is the system that they work in. That is, the way it is so imbalanced towards the unions and against the employer, in this case the taxpayer. We have a unionized workforce that we just can't afford anymore. And so we either have to have less programs and less workers, or they just have to do what everyone else in their same unions are doing around the state. And that's why I do applaud the governor for leading the way. We're saying to our workforce, specifically our CSCA and all our unions, if your colleagues in the state accepted and have been paying for their health insurance, by the way, for a long time, but now are paying 31% of their health care premiums on a family plan, and you're paying zero, and I'm not talking a little bit, I'm talking zero, so the taxpayer is paying 100% of their $20,000 premium, there's got to be some balance here.
Okay,
if they can start paying for this and taxpayers save, they can save their jobs.
I'm just a little bit confused. I mean, we've seen things, and this can become sticky for the governor right now, is engaged with this problem with PEF because they voted down their contract. Last time around, you saw the county legislature restore some of the jobs that you had hoped would be eliminated in your budget. So how does it work? Do your local unions not negotiate with you for contracts?
There's no reason for them to step up. We've been asking them for almost 2 years now. And right now, because of the Triborough Amendment to the Taylor Law, they basically have frozen contracts. So why would they come to the bargaining table and start paying today for their health insurance when they could just, wait this out 4 or 5 years? And in their case, hoping someone else gets in there as county executive. But the point is, look, we just cannot afford anymore these programs that are just unsustainable, and the cost of labor is becoming unsustainable. That has nothing to do with the job that they're doing. They're doing a great job. I've gotten to know a lot of the employees personally, or at least a hi hello. But this is a system that is broken, that needs to be fixed on the state level, on the county levels, all over the place. Otherwise, government cannot provide the essential services, let alone the things that we like to do.
Okay. Well, Rob Astorino, we are pretty much out of time. I want to thank you for making time for us. Also, a little bit of a cautionary tale, because of Triborough, you can just really pretty much wait out a contract and go under what you had before after you've rejected the one that you didn't like. So that is an interesting tactic. I'm not sure one that most people condone. I want to thank you very much for being with us. I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon. Until then, be well.
Thank you, Liz.